Alright, so part two on this is we just talked about starting the match and how do we think about that if you're going to try to beat me. And so again, we're trying to pick whatever position that you're going to be strongest at, and you know now that I'm going to generally try to play guard, partially because I'm not as good at guard passing, to be completely honest. Especially with people when I roll with like higher purple belts, like getting close to that brown belt level, brown belts, black belts. My ability to pass their guard goes kind of whoa. So depending if you've got a really good open guard game, then pulling guard might be a very, very good move for you in the very beginning. If you're really great at passing, just know that I'm particularly difficult to pass. Okay, so we've opened up and we've started this match. So let's say that I have pulled guard. This guy is me right now. And so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start going for whatever guard pass that I'm going to do, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to talk about one that we haven't done yet, okay? Just to make this a little bit more interesting for you guys that have been following for a while. So one of the guard passes that I actually kind of like, and I don't use it enough, and which is going to be the double under stack pass, right? I usually use it more as a triangle defense. So notice right here, I've got both my elbows to the inside of my opponent's legs, right? Their legs are out here somewhere, they're trying to wrap around or whatever. That's what I want, right? And I want either here or I want here, right? Maybe not on the mat, but two arms on the inside of their legs, right? Or inside their guard, towards their body, or I want it to the outside of their guard, which is here where their legs can't really wrap around anymore. So from here, you can swim one and then the other under their legs, right? And the thing about that is that if you're going to do that, the key thing here is that my elbows are on the inside, right? I'm not going to swim with an arm inside the guard, right? I'm not going to swim this arm out because I'm just going to go right into a triangle position. And unless you're really, really looking to get choked out by a triangle, don't do that. So from here, you can do one and then the other. Just be mindful, if I start pulling on this wrist and start pulling this arm out, you need to swim this arm back in. Okay? So once I get to, there is an exception to that. But once I get here, I'm going to get both arms under, and I'm going to be in this kind of position, right? So I'm in this kind of almost like an ice block position. My arms are underneath their legs, and then I'm going to gable grip above, right at their hips. And notice how low my elbows are. One of the common things that people do with this particular pass is, for one, they're shy about this shit, right? So they're up here, and they get up here. And what happens is that my forearms rise. And one of the things when we start showing you stuff with a partner is that once I get, up here, now there's all this space for them to basically, right? They're underhooking here and they're wrapping around here. So if they go too high on it, I can start to push and frame off one of those arms, pivot to my side, bring my knee to the mat, and then get that hip free, that leg free, and oftentimes I can get the other one, right? So that's one of those things that you really want to make sure that they can't do. So if you're getting right here, guys, you're touching the iliac crest with your forearm and clamping down there, now you are starting to work on killing the hips. Now the second part of this one is that once you get that double under, right, and you get this gable grip here, if you're doing a gi, you can hold on to the belt, but the closer your hands can be, the tighter this is going to be. My elbows are pinched down. A lot of times we'll just get that gable grip here, and now I'm going to back up and pull their hips onto my lap here, okay? If you try to what they're going to do here at this point, they're probably going to start to extend their legs and make their legs really heavy so you can't pick them up. But if you come here and you pull their hips onto your lap, now that's not going to make as much of a difference. Now from here, I'm going to come up and pressure into them. And you see that my foam roller is getting kind of pinned to the mat here. So this would be their shoulders here. And from here, because I'm holding so close to the hips right here, and I'm sucking them into me, he's not going to be able to start to move at all, right? I've got his hip mobility controlled with my body. I've got his shoulders both pinned to the ground. So I'm just here. Now, once I get into this position, all I'm going to do, because his legs up here by my neck now, right? And it doesn't matter if they try to go for a straight head scissor here, they're not going to be able to hold it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll my hip, right? And when I do that, I'm looking off that leg. It's going to fly right over my head right here. Even in a triangle choke, it's likely to fly off there. And then I'm just going to bring my arm all the way down here and bring it by the hip and come into this reverse switch base position. Okay? So sometimes when I teach this to newer white belts and whatnot, I'll tell them to grab the shoulder, to cup that opposite shoulder. And especially if you're trying to do a triangle choke escape, this is a good way. So I'm trying to bring their knees to their nose here, right? So I'm really folding them in half here, and then I roll. And at that point in time, sometimes if I don't have that shoulder, it's easy to just kind of slide into this position, and then I'm going to close up that space as fast as I can. Okay? Now, generally speaking, guys, here's a very realistic pace for how this is going to go. Okay? Is that I'm in my combat base. Okay? My elbows are to the inside. This is going to be a full pace here, right? This is competing in a tournament pace, right? Okay, so you notice, if you guys ever get a chance, and I'm sure there's plenty on YouTube that you can watch, you guys watch the Machados roll, or even some of the really old school Gracie folks, and what you're going to notice is that they don't move fast, especially the bigger guys. And that's quite intentional that they don't. And the reason why is because they're focusing on being smooth, and they're focusing on space, right? So when I do the stack pass, I'm closing the space, I'm connecting my opponent to me, and then I'm stacking them, I'm rolling my hip, and then I'm moving from one connection to another. So there shouldn't be, it's a little hard to show with the foam roller, but there shouldn't be any space that comes up to this, and I get here, and I maintain this connection, right? Nothing has to be fast here. And to go to the mount, guys, we've seen this one a bit, where, maybe I bring the legs together, do triangles up here to try to prevent me, I could do this kind of thing. Guys, this pace works, okay? You don't have to go fast. In fact, especially if you're newer, you're going to progress a lot faster if you don't go fast, right? If you focus a lot on just closing up the space and making those connections. So that's going to be, the first thing there, guys, is whatever guard pass that I'm going to do, I need to make sure that I don't lose, right? So when I'm doing this, that's going to set me up to lose, right? If I try to, if I'm here and I have my elbows too high and I'm trying to stack, he might squirrel out and I might lose my base. I might get swept. There are risks here. But if I can kill those hips and kill those shoulders, then glue him to the mat and then I do the pass, well then there's no space, there's no way for me to actually kind of defend that. And so that's actually, a really, really good guard pass. Now, there are instances where, they're going to try to stop you from bringing your hands together because they know that if they do, if I get my hands together, then I can actually get that whole pass there. Now, one guard pass that I haven't shown you guys yet is going to be the over-under pass. And it's a little bit hard to show without an actual person here, but I get into this position and maybe I get that first one under, right? And I'm hooking on the inside of his thigh here, but he's preventing me from bringing this other one out. So what I can kind of do here is I can kind of collapse down onto him. I might be able to collect this ankle as it is, but I'm being very mindful of my base. I could get swept here, but I'm trying to close up that space, and if I can bring his ankle in and pin it underneath my hip, right? So this arm is going under his thigh. This one, because his leg is pinned right here, can go over, and then I'm gonna hook his ankle here. Now from here, I have two options. One is that I can start to stack and look it off just as I just did, or, sometimes I'll take this hand out. Am I right on that? Yeah, I can take this hand out, come over the top here, and I'll hook this ankle, push on me, and start walking around this way. I hope that makes sense. And it's one of my favorite passes, to be completely honest with you. And I get it all the time, even on higher belts. And so, again, I'm closing up the space so that there's very little threat to me at any one time. And then I'm starting to develop a good connection, good control of the hips. And then I pass without opening up any space. Now, going back to the pass that we have worked a lot, right, is this knee cut pass. So we get here, we're in our combat base, we've got our foot forward so we don't get stuff. I pin to the mat, boom, and I get that head control if I can help it, guys. If he's blocking that head control, that's fine. I don't need it, right? So if he's blocking my bicep here, I can bring my arm over to the other side. Back step, right? And then just kind of settle into this reverse switch base. But when we do those passes, if your opponent is allowing me to get this unhook, right? I get that. It's not about squeezing tighter, right? But I've got him pinned right here, and I'm taking my time here, right? He might be trying to shrimp out. If I've got his leg stapled here, I can just ride him. He can just keep squirming. I don't care, right? As long as I've got this good connection. I could get here. Right, I'm pinning, and I'm just going to ride him until he gets tired, sure. And then I'm going to put my hand to the inside, boom, bring my knee through, or do a big back step, settle that down, and get into this side control position with a lot of space, or with no spacing, very tight here, right? So here I'm probably going to be hooking under his armpit here, right? And depending on what he's doing is going to decide where this arm goes. And that's going to be the next video.